Welcome to the Black Educated Tea Podcast. I'm your host, Makeda Marie, and this is the first official episode for the Black Educated Tea Podcast. 2 years in the making. 2 years in the making. Yes, your girl is a procrastinator, and I say was as in past tense because I've told myself this year I will not procrastinate. I will do any and everything I set my mind to doing. So, 2 years in the making, but it is here. And I decided to do this podcast. I wanted it to be personal and a lot more intimate. So I wanted to do it in my home. So I'm not in the studio today because I really just wanted to talk about the what, the how, the when, the where, the why on this podcast was even created. So as I stated, 2 years ago, it started as an idea. And it took me 2 years to get this thing going. But it's here. So it started as an idea while I was working on my dissertation in my doctoral program. So I went through like 2 or 3 different topics. I really didn't know what topic I wanted to do. I didn't know what was a good fit for me at that time. So I think by the time I got to my 3rd topic, I finally found the topic that was really a good fit for me. And the topic was the experiences of Black women in doctoral programs. And it was like, ding, ding. I mean, perfect topic. I am a Black woman. I was in the doctoral program, and then I wanted to talk about my experiences in this doctoral program. So it was a perfect fit. The topic fit. So I started working on my dissertation, got to like chapter 3, started doing my interviews, and that's when the podcast was created. So I started doing the interviews, and the conversations were so good. Because not only did we just talk about education, but it was motherhood and marriage, and it was entrepreneurship in corporate America. There was so many other conversations that came out of these interviews, but it was all still centered on education. So I was like, man, how can I continue these conversations outside of my dissertation where other people can hear about it? And I just wanted to also continue them as well. So at that point, the idea for the podcast was created. Now, it was ideal at that point. And it took 2 years. And within those 2 years, I came up with a title and still didn't take any action or do anything with it. So I was given a deadline. And the deadline was stated that go ahead and get at least 1 episode out of the way. Because I think family and friends were kind of tired of hearing about the podcast because I was talking about it and saying all the great things I wanted to do with it. So I had the idea, I had the thoughts, I had set these goals, I just hadn't taken action on it. And so I think, close people was like, okay, she keep talking about this podcast. She hadn't done anything with it yet. So I was given a deadline and complete the 1st episode by this day. And I did it. And the crazy thing is about me, when I have a deadline to get something done, I'm going to execute it and I'm going to do a really good job at it. But sometimes I have to be given a deadline in order to do something. And so I got the 1st episode out of the way, and man, it was a huge accomplishment for me. It felt so good. And I'm like, why did it take me 2 years to do this? I should have been done it. But then I look back and I'm like, I think now was the perfect and the right time to do it. 2 years ago, I don't think it was just the perfect time. I think during those 2 years, I needed to gather my ideas and my thoughts and, build my confidence up to get to this point to be able to do it. So, finished the 1st episode, got it out of the way, and man, as a person who suffered from social anxiety and lack of confidence and self-doubt and the imposter syndrome, and now it didn't disappear. It didn't go away, just like that because I had completed the 1st episode. Did not disappear that quick, but I saw the difference and I felt the difference within myself. I saw the growth just in that moment, in my internally, externally, in so many ways. I just felt the change coming and I wanted to continue. So after the 1st episode, I did more and more episodes and it got easier with each episode. It just felt like this is my purpose. This is what I should be doing. And I wanted to continue to do this. After searching years and years on what is my purpose and what should I be doing and what is my passion, when I started doing the podcast, I was like, man, this is what I should be doing. This is where I should be. And I wouldn't change anything about it. And this podcast was created to give Black women, to give us a voice. We are starting business at vast amount of numbers. We are getting degrees. We are doing it all. although we are doing it all, we are still often voiceless. And I felt voiceless. And I wanted to create a podcast that would give a voice to us where we can talk about our experiences and our journeys as we just go through school, as we go through life, as we go through motherhood, while we are navigating and balancing all these things at one time. So I wanted to just share these experiences with any and everyone. So this podcast, it is my baby. It is my baby. And to see that it is now a reality, it just proves to any and everybody that you can do anything you set your mind to. Doesn't matter if you've had this ideal or this dream for 2 years, for 10 years, for 15 years. It doesn't matter at this point. Because now, 2022 is the year that you do you. If you wanted to start your business, if you want to write your book, if you want to go back to school, whatever you want to do, now is the year that you do it. And this is what I'm telling myself as well. This is the year that as a business consultant, I push that even further. As a host of a podcast, I just do massive amount of podcasts and just get the message out there. So this is the year that I do everything that I want to do. Nothing is holding me back but myself. And after all of these years, I was the only person in my mind holding me back, telling myself that I couldn't do it, wanting everything to be so perfect instead of just doing it. Nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. Everything we do is going to have a flaw to it. And I'm okay with that now. Because my podcast has shown me that nothing is going to be perfect. Give it your all. Give it every effort and every fiber within your being. And it's going to turn out to be great. So make this the year that you do it all. Let nothing hold you back. Get around those that are going to motivate you. They're going to push you to start your business, to go back to school. We don't care about the namesayers. We don't care about those that don't want to motivate you. It doesn't matter. Because the crazy thing is, I went to the store the other day because I've been on this drinking spring water lately. So in the store, just looking around, and I started looking at all the different brands and all the different types of water. You got spring water, you got purified water, you got pH balanced water. If you want water with flavor to it, you got hint water. So I'm like, man, you got all of these different types of water, but you know what? That still doesn't stop people from creating more brands and types of water. So no matter what your ideal is, no matter what your dream is, it doesn't matter. Because whatever you have is unique to you. It's going to fit for you. No matter, there's plenty of other people doing podcasts. And you know what? I listen to them and I support them. But then I still know they have something unique to their podcast, just like I have something that's unique to mine. We all have something that we bring to the table. So don't let anything deter you from what you want to do. Because who would have ever fathomed that 20 years ago, with me being a high school dropout, that I will be where I am at today, hosting a podcast that was created while being a doctoral student working on a dissertation. The odds were against me. The odds were definitely against me, being a high school dropout. That many probably would never thought that I would have made it to this point that I have in my life. So that just shows that your journey is for you, your path is for you. Nobody can take that from you, but you have to believe in yourself. Now, there were definitely tough times during those years. You know, as long as you're here, you're going to learn, you're going to try to figure out life no matter what point or what age you are in your life. But even as I got deterred, even as I got frustrated, even as I felt like giving up, I still kept pushing, I still kept going. And look, and I still have a lot more growing and improvements to do in my life, but I'm here. And you can do the same for yourself. If you want to start a podcast, no matter what it is, just do it. Just do it. And this podcast really just shows you from the conversations that we have. And as you see the growth and you see the change in this podcast, is the conversations. They're going to resonate with you. Some are not, some are. But you're going to get so much good content out of this that what we do here and what we talk about here is really going to be life-changing for not only myself, but also for you. And I want you to enjoy, to laugh, to cry, just to be immersed in all of these conversations, because it's what we all are going through, and it's showing how we are navigating, still being strong while doing it. Being strong, but then also showing weaknesses as well. Because this podcast is not only built on strength, but it's built on weaknesses. And it's built on growth, and it's built on improvements. And I want you to just join. Tell all your family and friends about it. This is a huge accomplishment for me. This is my baby of many. And I feel like it's really going to be life-changing for myself and for others. And as I stated before, if I can do it, anybody can do it. This is your year, 2022. We're all going to do great things. Even with all the negativity going on out there, we're still going to take those negative things and we're going to make positive out of it. We're going to make this a positive year to keep pushing and to just do whatever it is that you want to do. I'm going to continue to do this amongst other things. And I want you to see the growth in me. Even as I start losing weight. And so even as this face gets slimmer, as the face brightens up and start looking better, I want you to even notice the change in me physically. So I want you to feel it physically. You can see it physically, but I also want you to feel the change in me. I want you to see it in my voice and just my mannerisms. I want you to just all around me. I want you just to see the change in me. Because this podcast has definitely done a lot of changes in my life. And it's going to continue to do a lot of changes in my life. And I'm so open for it. I am so excited by it. So I want you to just join, listen, and I promise you, you're going to be a part of such great conversations that the Black Educated Tea Podcast has to offer.